Welcome to the Full Moon Film Buff, episode 163. We will discuss Wild Country from 2006. I watched this on Plex and I had not seen this before. As always, we start with the prominent crew and cast. You can always find links to a more complete credit list in the show notes. The film was written and directed by Craig Strachan, with effects makeup by Dave Bonniwell and Peter Hawkins. Craig Strachan got his start writing Bring Me the Head of Mavis Davis. His most notable film is Wild Country. He moved on to cinematography on the documentary She Got Game before producing a couple films in Argentina. We've already seen Dave Bonniwell's work as a makeup artist on Dog Soldier. He has an ongoing career as special effects artist and makeup designer known for films like The Titan, Event Horizon, and The Crow. Prominent TV productions include The Witcher, Foundation, Game of Thrones, and Doctor Who. We also saw Peter Hawkins' work as a makeup artist on Dog Soldier. High-profile franchises include Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, Dominion, and Rebirth, Star Wars, episodes 7, 8, and 9, Rogue One, and Solo, and Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Notable non-franchise projects include 1917, King Arthur, World War Z, and Napoleon. He was the on-set prosthetic supervisor on Being Human Season 1. Other TV shows he has worked on include Game of Thrones, Band of Brothers, Torchwood, Doctor Who, and Masters of the Air. The cast includes Martin Compston as Lee, Samantha Shields as Kelly Ann, Peter Capaldi as Father Steve, Alan McHugh as the Shepherd, Nicola Muldoon as Luis, Jamie Quinn as Mark Eady, Kevin Quinn as David Eady, Karen Fraser as Missy, Tracy Robertson as Elaine, and Peter Hawkins as the Shadow Beast. Now, before acting, Martin Compston was a professional footballer, playing for Aberdeen at youth level, before making appearances for Scottish Championship side Greenock Morton. He transitioned from football to acting with his breakthrough role in Sweet 16. He is most notable for playing anti-corruption unit detective Inspector Steve Arnott in Line of Duty. Other significant roles include The Wee Man, Monarch of the Glen, A Guide to Recognizing Your Saints, and The Nest. We're going to see him again when we get to Strippers vs. Werewolves. Samantha Shields has a short career in the late aughts and early teens. She is known for Wild Country, The Wee Man, and The Pedestrian. Peter Capaldi is best known internationally as the 12th incarnation of the Time Lord Doctor Who. In school, he formed the punk rock band The Dream Boys with comedian Craig Ferguson. They even had a minor hit in the 80s, as I understand. Capaldi's early career began in the 80s with appearances in films like Local Hero, Restless Natives, and Dangerous Liaisons. In the 90s, he pivoted to TV with memorable performances in shows like Mr. Wakefield's Crusade, Prime Suspect 3, Neverwhere, The Crow Road, The Vicar of Dibley, and Midsummer Murders. This decade also saw him get into directing with the award-winning short film Franz Kafka's It's a Wonderful Life. He achieved widespread acclaim for his role as the foul-mouthed political spin doctor Malcolm Tucker in Armando Iannucci's satirical series The Thick of It and its TV spin-off Out of the Thick of It, and the film spin-off In the Loop. This led directly to his casting as Doctor Who. He's kept busy in film with high-profile projects such as Paddington, Paddington 2, Christopher Robin, Watership Down, and The Suicide Squad, as well as TV projects including The Musketeers, Big Mouth, Criminal Record, and The Devil's Hour. He has returned to music with his recent solo studio album, St. Christopher. Alan McHugh is best known for his TV roles, including Taggart, Take the High Road, Limmy's Show, Rab C. Nesbitt, Dear Green Place, and Outlander. Nicola Muldoon is primarily a makeup artist who got her start acting. She's known for Night Sleeper, Minds of Glass, Outlander, and Humans. Jamie Quinn is an actor and musician. He is known for recurring roles in Still Game and Two Doors Down. Other prominent credits include Bluestone 42 and On the Road. Beyond acting, Quinn is the singer-songwriter and guitarist in the alternative rock band Penny Mob. Kevin Quinn is known for A Fond Kiss, Wild Country, A Song Still Inside, and Taggart. Karen Fraser is known for A Fond Kiss, Crying with Laughter, and The Party's Just Beginning. Tracy Robertson is known for Wild Country, Still Game, The Bill, and Cry for Bobo. I absolutely recommend this low-budget Scottish horror gem. It has some notable flaws, but there's more than enough here to make it worth a watch if you're curious about lesser-known lycanthrope films. Warning, I think this one has a pretty neat twist. If you're interested, watch it before you finish watching this video. It's okay, I'll wait. This film was shot on location in the Scottish Highlands, which gives it an authentic atmosphere that bigger budget films sometimes lack. While not as polished as Dog Soldiers from 2002, Wild Country feels like it's trying to capture some of that same British werewolves in the wilderness energy. The castle in which Kellyanne and Lee find the abandoned baby is a real castle in Mugdock Country Park near Glasgow, where a large portion of the film was shot. The exterior of the castle appears on film. However, due to its age, the interior was crumbling and was deemed unsafe for the crew to work in. So the castle interior was a set built in an unused factory in Glasgow. Most of the set, including the spiral staircase leading to the tower, was made of polystyrene, which was then painted to resemble real stone. The minimalist approach to werewolf mythology recalls some of the more streamlined monster movies of the 80s, where the creature's origin is far less important than its immediate threat. So I'm going to cover the synopsis. This is your last chance. If you want to watch it, go do it. Kellyanne gives birth to a baby boy who is immediately whisked off for adoption. The adopted parents pay her to pump breast milk. 6 weeks later, Kellyanne and 3 other troubled Glasgow teenagers, Louise, Mark, and David, are dropped off in the Scottish Highlands for a wild country hike by Father Steve. He winds the kids up with tales of Sawney Bean. The kids are to meet Father Steve the next day at a designated hotel. David, unknowingly to everybody else, invited Kellyanne's ex-boyfriend Lee on the trip. She is not pleased. The kids run across a very creepy shepherd who takes undue interest in where they are camping. Speaking of, they pitch their tents near a castle ruin. Louise and David hook up, which is why most churches send a chaperone on these kinds of trips. The shepherd spies on them until they drive him off. Shockingly, he is not the werewolf. We know this because a wolf-like beast rips his throat out. He did make the kids nervous enough to set up a protective watch, which turns out to be a good thing. Kellyanne and Lee discover a baby in the ruins of the castle next to the partially eaten corpse of the shepherd. The beast immediately starts stalking them. The group attempts to get the baby to civilization and safety. They don't get far before the beast kills Mark without even giving him a chance to make a sound. Louise stumbles down a gulch in the dark and hurts her shoulder. Before they can get to her, the beast kills her. But not before it makes clear that its primary target is Kellyanne. The last 3 kids realize that they must kill the beast before it slaughters them all one by one. The beast will be able to easily pick them off if they stay out on the moors, so they decide to go back to the castle. After spending the night there, Kellyanne breastfeeds the baby. They develop a plan to kill the beast. Kellyanne uses herself as bait to lure the beast to the staircase, and the boys push a stone down onto it. Then they stab it to death with primitive spears. However, a second beast enters the castle and kills David. Kellyanne and Lee flee back into the countryside. The beast in the castle seems genuinely anguished at the death of its partner. It follows the 2 kids and trees them. Kellyanne reveals that she regrets giving up her son for adoption. The beast tricks them into thinking it left and kills Lee when he climbs down. The monster could easily kill Kellyanne multiple times, but it doesn't. Kellyanne gets the baby to the hotel where the group was to meet Father Steve. Kellyanne takes the baby into a bedroom to breastfeed him again. Kellyanne's senses have improved. The monster appears and kills Missy, the owner of the hotel, and attacks Father Steve. Kellyanne begins transforming. The beast chases Father Steve upstairs into the bedroom where Kellyanne is. He finds a monster mother feeding its pup, and it kills him. We realize the baby was the werewolf's cub, and it infected Kellyanne by biting her while she was breastfeeding it earlier in the film. In the credits, 2 beasts walk through a field back towards the castle while their offspring runs around them. There is only one transformation scene in the film. We see Kellyanne becoming the beast. It's simple but effective. The werewolf design in Wild Country is notably different from its contemporaries. Rather than going for the more human-eyed werewolf, the creature here is presented as genuinely wolf-like, a massive quadrupedal beast rather than the bipedal monster we often see in werewolf films. The special effects, while done on a limited budget, are quite effective for what they are. The practical effects work shows creativity in working around the financial constraints, and the creature design, while simple, is memorably menacing. Wild Country doesn't delve into traditional werewolf mythology or transformation rules. There's no focus on lunar cycles, silver bullets, or typical werewolf origin stories. Instead, the creature is a primal force of nature, a beast that exists in the wilderness, somehow connected to the abandoned child the teens discover. The twist at the end reveals that the beast could be either a human who is bitten and transformed, or the child of another beast. However, even then, the fact that the baby looked human suggests that these creatures are something between human and wolf. rather than the traditional man-wolf cycle that we get in normal werewolf stories. This approach makes it feel more like a creature feature than a traditional werewolf film, which both helps or hurts the movie depending upon your expectations and desires. What the film does instead is build on the legend of Sawney Bean, a grotesque figure from Scottish folklore who shares eerie echoes with the mythology of lycanthropy. While Sawney Bean wasn't a werewolf in any sense that I'm aware of, his story intersects with lycanthropic themes of cannibalism and the blurring of human and monstrous identities. Sawney Bean, allegedly the head of a cannibalistic clan in 16th century Scotland, was said to live in a cave with his incestuous family, ambushing and devouring travelers. Bean didn't physically transform, but his behavior, living in caves, hunting like an animal, and consuming human flesh, mirrors the more savage traits that we ascribe to werewolves. Historically, werewolf myths often linked lycanthropy with cannibalism, particularly in cases where individuals were accused of being both wolves and man-eaters. In medieval and early modern Europe, some serial killers and outlaws were described in ways that evoked werewolf imagery, suggesting that there is a cultural association between extreme violence and bestial transformation. Sawney Bean fits that pattern. Furthermore, the isolation of Bean's clan in the wilderness parallels the idea of werewolves as creatures of the untamed wild. They live outside civilized society. In modern retellings, Sawney Bean has occasionally been conflated with werewolf lore, reinforcing the idea that his legend embodies the same primal fears as lycanthropy, the terror of humans reverting to a savage predatory state. Thus, while Sawney Bean isn't strictly a werewolf, his mythos intersects in its exploration of brutality, inhumanity, and the thin boundary between man and monster. Both legends, Sawney Bean and lycanthropy, serve as dark reflections of humanity's fear of its capacity for savagery. This film employs supernatural horror to explore fundamental aspects of parenthood, including responsibility, protection, and the bonds between parent and child. When Kelly Ann and Lee discover the baby in the castle ruins, their protective instincts drive the narrative beyond a typical monster movie into a meditation on parental duty. Their determination to save the child, despite mounting dangers and their companions' deaths, shows how parental responsibility can emerge even towards children not biologically your own. The baby's presence forces these teenagers to mature rapidly, transforming them from victims into protectors, willing to risk everything for a vulnerable life. The film's most sophisticated element lies in its parallel treatment of loss between human and supernatural worlds. Kellyanne's backstory reveals a young woman already traumatized by separation from her child, leaving her to pump breast milk for adopted parents, a mother without a child. Similarly, the werewolf parents experience their own loss when humans unknowingly take their offspring. This parallel creates unexpected symmetry between the human and the monster narrative, suggesting that the drive to protect and reclaim one's young transcends species. Both sets of parents are victims of circumstance. Kellyanne lost her child to social systems beyond her control, while the werewolves lost theirs to random human intervention. The resolution forms a disturbing yet complete circle. As the werewolf father reclaims his child, he accepts Kellyanne into their family through the transformative bite she received while nursing. Her heightened senses and eventual transformation aren't just supernatural infection, but they're the fulfillment of a deeper need, integration into a family where she can truly be a mother. Kellyanne has proven her maternal instincts through fierce protection of their child. The film's ending, with two adult werewolves walking through a field while their offspring runs between them, presents a twisted but complete family unit. Kellyanne finds her place, not in human society, which took her child from her, but in a supernatural realm where her maternal instincts are essential for survival. Wild Country uses its horror framework to explore the fundamental need humans have for family, and the lengths parents will go to maintain those bonds. Through parallel narratives of loss and recovery, the film suggests the drive to protect and nurture transcends conventional boundaries. Kellyanne's transformation from a grieving mother to a supernatural parent resolves the central question. What does it mean to be a parent? The answer lies in recognizing parenthood as a primal force that reshapes identity itself. In choosing to end with the reunited supernatural family, Wild Country presents parenthood as transformative power, one that turns human into monster, stranger into family, and loss into redemption. Time to talk urban versus rural again. Wild Country derives much of its atmospheric power from its exploration of the fundamental divide between urban and rural. By transplanting these troubled Glasgow teenagers into the unforgiving Scottish Highlands, the film creates tension extending beyond its supernatural elements, examining how individuals respond to their vulnerability in an alien landscape. The film establishes Kellyanne, Louise, Mark, and David, and Lee as well, as products of urban Glasgow, teenagers shaped by city rhythms, urban support systems, and the predictable dangers of metropolitan life. Their transition to the Scottish Highlands is a fundamental disruption to their world. The wilderness they encounter is not just remote, it's actively hostile to their urban sensibilities and survival skills. This displacement becomes immediately apparent in their interactions with the environment. The teenagers' initial response to the Highlands setting reveals their complete unfamiliarity with rural survival. Their choice to camp near the castle ruins, while cinematically dramatic, demonstrates their ability to read the landscape for actual safety. Now, Wild Country transforms the Scottish Highlands into a character in its own right, one that is simultaneously beautiful and threatening, ancient and alive. The film's authentic location work captures the dual nature of the Highland landscape. Its breathtaking beauty masking the underlying hostility that urban dwellers can't fully comprehend. The moors, castle ruins, and rocky outcroppings become active participants in the narrative, providing both shelter and traps at times, beauty and terror. The Highland setting challenges the teenagers' urban instincts and survival strategies, which taught them to navigate human predators and social systems, but left them helpless against the forces that inhabit the wild spaces of their own country. This wilderness appears infinite and indifferent, a realm where human concerns and urban solutions hold no meaning. This vastness becomes psychologically oppressive, stripping away the teenagers' confidence and forcing them to confront their fundamental helplessness. The urban-rural divide in Wild Country reflects broader tensions as well. The Glasgow teenagers represent modern, globalized Scotland, connected to international urban culture but increasingly disconnected from their country's ancient heritage. Their ignorance of the Sawney Bean legend illustrates how urban Scotland has lost touch with its darker folklore and the primal realities that shaped its cultural identity. The werewolves, by contrast, represent an ancient, untamed Scotland that persists in the wild spaces beyond urban influence. They embody supernatural forces that urban rationality cannot explain or control. The film suggests that by abandoning their rural roots, urban Scots have also abandoned the wisdom and instincts necessary to survive in their own ancestral landscape. The film implies that something essential has been lost in Scotland's urban transformation, a connection to the land and its dangers that previous generations took for granted. So, if you like lycanthropes, like, share, and subscribe. Contribute your thoughts and additional observations in the comments below. Let me know what I missed or what you noticed. Next, I plan to discuss The Feeding from 2006. Keep your eye on the moon, a silver bolt in the chamber, and we'll see you back next episode.